This related race problem is about observing a rising helicopter. A student is standing 80 feet away from a heliport and is observing a rising helicopter. The helicopter is rising at 50 feet per second. How fast, sometimes they use the word rate of change, is the distance between the helicopter and the student changing when the helicopter is 200 feet high. So for the 200 feet high, sometimes they use altitude 200 feet above the ground. Okay, so first of all, for a related rate problem, what do you need? You need a picture. When you do a problems on your homework, quizzes, and exam, most of the time, they don't give you a picture. So the first thing that we need is a picture. And what else do we need? We need labels, right? Alright, so I prepare a picture for you, a student and a heliport, so that is 80 feet away. So what else do we know? The helicopter is rising at 50 feet per second. So let's call this altitude, the height, equals to x, and then the distance, I will just call that a d. Alright, so let's make the d smaller because I have some other things to write. And then the altitude is x, so they are saying that the helicopter is rising at 50 feet per second. So that means dx dt is equals to 50 feet per second. Is that positive or negative? That is positive because the distance between the heliport and the helicopter is increasing. Alright, so now we have x and dx dt. Is there, for the 80, for the bottom, is there a rate of change? The answer is no, because the distance between the student and the heliport is not changing. So the bottom, the base of the triangle is always 80. And then what about the distance between the student and the chopper? So it's d. We have, what do we have? How fast is the distance between the helicopter and the student changing when the helicopter is 200 feet high? Okay, so when x is equals to 200 feet, then what is d dt equals to? So what is d dt equals to when x is equals to 200 feet high? Alright, so now we got all the labels. And then the next things we need is equation. And then we need to take a derivative. Alright, for equation, then we will be using the Pythagorean theorems. The square of the base plus the square of the height equals to the square of the hypotenuse, which is d squared. And then we have to use implicit differentiation. The derivative of 80 is equals to 0. And then the derivative of x squared, that is equals to, oh, how about this? Since I want to match the color code, I will just use a pink to do the job. So I'm gonna cut this, not copy. So I'm gonna cut this and then change to pink to do the job. So the Pythagorean theorem, that is the square of the base plus the square of the height equals to the square of the hypotenuse. And then implicit differentiation, so we have 0, power rule, and then implicit, so that is dx with respect to time, and then 2d, and then dd with respect to time. Alright, so we plug in everything we know and solve for the item that we don't know. So 0, we can ignore that, and then 2 times x. Do we know what x is? When x is equals to 200, and then dx dt is equals to 50, and then 2 times d, we don't know d, we will find out in a minute, and then dd dt is what we are looking for. So how do we find d? To find d, you have to draw another picture and then use Pythagorean theorem. Okay, so for d, let's draw another triangle. This is the height, this is the hypotenuse. So this is d, and then this is 80 when x is equals to 200. So that would be 80 square, right, plus 200 square equals to d square. So we have a 600, and let's move this up so I can keep everything on one screen. So that is equals to 6400. And then this is a plus 40,000 equals to d squared. So that is 46400 equals to d squared. You take the square root on both sides. So d is the square root of this. That is approximately equals to 215.41. So this is feet. How many decimal places do you have to use? You have to read the problem. So in this problem, I prefer to prefer to use 2 decimal places. So this is going to be, I'm going to erase this, 215.41. Okay, I can just squeeze in. All right, so let's solve for dt. Okay, so 2 times 50, that is equals to 100, right? And then 100 times 200, that is equals to 2 followed by 40. So 2 followed by 40, 20,000. And then 2 times that, I will just be lazy this time and then just write out 215.41. So that is equals to dt. So what is that equal to? So approximate that. This is approximately equals to 46.42 feet per second. Can dt be negative? The answer is of course. When dt is negative, that means the distance between the helicopter and the student is decreasing. But in this case, we have a positive dt, so 46.42. So that means the distance between the student and the helicopter is increasing. How fast? At 46.42 feet per second. So let's do a what if. Every single problem has a what if, right? So how about this? So let me switch to another color. So I want to do a what if. What is dx dt equals to? So this time, do you see that? I gave you a dx dt. So how about this? We set up another what if to find dx dt. So how fast is the altitude changing? How about this? What is dx dt equals to? I'm trying to do a what if. So what does that mean? What is the rate of change, ROC, rate of change of the altitude, which is high? What is the rate of change of altitude when the altitude is 300 feet? So that means when x is equals to 300 feet. What is the rate of change of x when x is equals to 300? Of course, I have to give you some given. So, and then given the distance between the student and the chopper is increasing at 30 feet per second. And then the distance between the student and the chopper is 600 feet. How's that? So first of all, you write the equation, right? So that is 80 squared equals to plus x squared plus d equals to d squared. Pythagorean Theorem equals to d squared. We don't need to change the 80 because the distance between the student and the heliport is not changing. And then we use implicit differentiation. So 0 plus 2x and then dx dt equals to 2d dd dt. Big D, dd dt. It's hard to say that, dd dt. And then you plug in everything you know. So 2 times 300. And then we are trying to find dx dt, that is equals to 2 times 600, and then dd dt is 30 feet per second. So at the end of the day, you have dx dt that is equals to 2 times 600 times 30 divided by 2 times 300. So obviously, the 2 got cancelled, right? So if you got everything right, that is equals to 60. Because this is gone, the 30 is gone, the bottom is 10, 600 divided by 10 is equals to 60. So this is 60 feet per second. So what is x stands for? So if you have your right triangle, so 60, so this is x, right? So when x is equals to 300, the rate of change with respect to time is equals to 60 feet per second. That means the helicopter is going up at 60 feet per second. That means the altitude is changing at 60 feet per second. So the distance, this x is getting longer and longer, or you can say higher and higher. All right, so that is the end of this problem. If you think my instruction is helpful and clear, give me a like, share the video for me, click the subscribe button if you are new to the channel. I will see you all in the next one. Signing out.